Hi everybody, welcome to the Icehouse Podcast. My name is Bryar Stewart and today I'm with James Duda, the CEO of Sales National of Energylight. He has done our Leadership Development Program 28 and our Alex program, Leaders Exchange 2. And so really cool to have him on the podcast today to talk about his leadership journey and unpack what that's looked like and hopefully inspire some others that are watching and listening. So thanks, James.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here. Thanks, Bryar.
No worries. Well, we like to start with some quick fire, just to get to know you. So most important question, what's your coffee order?
Oh, it's pretty simple for a Kiwi. It's just a straight flat white. I like a smaller one though, so a tulip cup or something.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's mine too. Double shot?
Yes, definitely double shot. Yeah.
Double shot. Cool. Same page. When are you most relaxed?
When am I most relaxed? That's a really good question. I was having a think about this earlier. Part of me is most relaxed after I've completed all my jobs. I think that's probably a pretty common trait. But also if I can get away on holiday, spend time with my friends and family, get out, do a bit of exercise. That's when I truly relax. So having things put behind me and done, and being able to just chill out.
Yeah. How goes that feeling before going on holiday when you actually do get everything done that you want to, and then you're like, I can actually go on holiday with a clear head? That's always one. So
exactly. A to-do list is a great thing, and being able to like tick things off or put lines through things is essential to being able to switch off and actually relax. So yeah.
I'm with you. On the other side, when are you most productive?
I'd probably say in the morning. Like I tend to get into work at it can sometimes vary. So sometimes it can be 7:30, sometimes it can be it can be 8:30. Sometimes if I'm dropping off the kids, it can be 9 o'clock. But I tend to find if I do get into the office early in those first few hours, I feel my most productive.
Awesome.
After lunch is probably my least productive time.
Yeah. Thanks for your honesty. Do you have a book or a podcast that you recommend people should read or listen to?
Yeah, I actually do. It's
cool.
although the title of it's probably not suitable to read out in a podcast, but it's called The Art of Not. And you can probably fill in the rest of the blanks. It's a book by Mark Manson.
Cool.
And it's a book that I really like, because especially you see people, when I see people get overwhelmed or myself get overwhelmed, it's a really nice way of reminding you that you have to focus on what's important and often what's not important. You can let go of those things, and that's okay. So it's a great one. Look it up. You might have to start typing in the title into Google and the rest will come up.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a well-known book, and it really is. Everyone knows what you're talking about, I feel. And if not, Google it and you'll soon find out.
There's a great follow-up sequel to it as well.
Nice. Yeah, I have to look into that one. First ever job, James.
First ever job. This was at a small fruit and veggie shop. Actually, I used to pack vegetables, so in a little fruit and veggie shop in Christchurch. So it was my after school and weekend job.
Yeah, awesome. I like that. Morning or night person?
It can sort of depend on the time of year or what's going on. I'm probably more of a night person. I really enjoy my evenings, and I enjoy that period of time. So yeah, probably more of a night person. Nice.
And were you born with your strengths, or do you think you've learnt them over time?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think certain strengths you are born with. I think that's part of your DNA and your makeup, and then I think you learn how to either apply those in different ways, or you learn how to adapt. And that's often the painful part is learning how to adapt, so that you can overcome your weaknesses or overcome your fears and leverage your strengths. So I think you are who you are, but as you grow older and you go through life's experiences, those things teach you how to adapt, and grow, I suppose.
Yeah, great answer. Do you think you're a natural leader?
No, I don't feel like a natural leader. So I don't feel like I'm a natural leader. I think something that I work at. I have to work at pretty hard, and I don't know. Other people might say differently, but that's just the way that I feel.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Again, thanks for the honesty. I know it's going to be a good convo if we're saying that, but I think it's a good question to throw out there to some of our people that have been in our leadership development program, because leader and leadership can look really different to everyone, and their journey of getting there can look really different too. So
100%.
let's dive into that a little bit more. Tell us a bit about yourself, James, and who you are, what you're passionate about, and what your life looks like right now. Big one, eh?
Well, that's quite a big question. So I look after a team basically I look after all of the sales and marketing for our business across the whole of New Zealand. So I have a team in Auckland. I have a team here in Christchurch. I'm based in Christchurch. I have a family with three young daughters and my wife and a dog. My little escape is to get out and go mountain biking. I really enjoy my mountain biking.
Cool.
And as a family, we do things like go skiing and those sorts of things in winter, because I find that if you don't do something like that in winter, then you just end up just sitting inside all the time because, it's not that great of weather outside. And so, life is really, really busy. The role takes on a lot of responsibility for, a number of people and the size of the business that we operate. And then also with other commitments that we have through with my family as well. It's a busy old time. So so that's where we're at. I'm not sure if that actually answers your question or not, but
it does. Totally does. And then for context, we'd love to hear how your journeys looked like to Energylight, your career journey, and what led to being such a big part of that business.
So my career actually started, aside from like packing fruit in a veggie shop, my career, I guess, started with sales. So I started in retail sales and I progressed in sales roles mostly through my career, and I had a field marketing role when I was working in the UK. Mm-hmm. And that role was my first role where I actually managed and had a team of people, and it was what I had always aspired to. I'd always aspired to having people in a team and being able to lead them and grow them. Mm-hmm. And I took a lot of the lessons from my managers that I had worked for and the way that they managed me and the things that I really liked that they did. And I tried to apply those as best as I could. And, I got some things right. I got a lot of things wrong. But I learned a lot along the way. And so on my return back into New Zealand, I kind of fell into this role. I kind of fell into lighting. A lot of people seem to fall into this industry and then never leave. Mm-hmm. And I started in sales in this industry and then in lighting, and then I started to take on a role of sales management and then into marketing and leading the business. So awesome. It's been a journey, most of it being a sales or customer led or customer facing role. So no,
that's really cool. And what does a day in the life of you look like?
Like a bird's nest maybe, or some sort of like scattered sort of thing. Like no, it's I'm not a highly structured type of person. Like I do and that is one of my weaknesses that I have to work on pretty hard, is that my role I have to bring structure, so I have to work at that. But a day in the life for me could mean just working at the office for the day. It could mean out with my team, or visiting customers or presenting. It could mean traveling either to see suppliers or our partners. It could mean traveling to see our customers in other regions. Cool. Other leaders of our client organizations or industry bodies and these sorts of things. So there's a lot of travel, especially now that COVID or the pandemic travel restrictions have eased. There's a lot of travel back again, which is again places another pressure on life. But so it's I'd say, to sum it up, it's varied.
And do you like that variety in what you do?
I do, and I actually struggled with a lot through the pandemic and through the lockdowns and COVID of having this sort of all being stuck at home. I enjoy being out and talking to people. It's one of it's something that gives me a lot of energy. And to be honest, I really struggled with lockdown and being, not having that variety, I guess, and doing everything via Zoom. Not to criticize the platform, but because it's such a useful tool. But when you spend 8 hours on it a day, it was pretty pretty draining.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But yeah, very cool to hear. You're varied in your role, and you do many things across the board, but obviously you're passionate about the people side of it and the connections with people that you have along the way. So I like to hear that. That's cool. What's one thing you wish you knew at the start of your career journey? You could go back and go, okay, James, I need you to know this.
What's one thing I wish I knew at the start of my journey? Probably how hard it would be. Life is a collection of experiences, good and bad, and I think when you're young, you're full of life and energy, and everything's you can be really positive. I especially was, and then as you get older, you do learn that there's some pretty hard things out there in life, and it can be tough sometimes, and so you learn that hard lesson. So sort of knowing that up front would have been, although maybe it would have been maybe it might have been more cynical a little bit earlier, but.
Stop you from doing things. They always say, if I knew, I don't know if I would have launched this or done this, or exactly right.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Awesome. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into leadership, and wondering what leadership means to you, and any leaders that have really inspired your journey. You mentioned taking some elements from what other managers that you've had have done, have managed you, and then bringing that and applying it into what you do. So anyway, simplify. What does leadership mean to you, and any leaders that have inspired you along the way?
It's really interesting. I'm a bit of a fan of Simon Sinek, which a lot of your audience will probably be quite familiar with. And he tells the story of the Wright brothers, and I really like that story. And I really often think back to that, and I think back to how they achieved what they achieved with, they didn't have the right amount of money, they didn't have that much money, they didn't have much resources, they didn't have any publicity. And he compared it to another guy, and I can't remember his name. So who had all the money, had all the resources, and had everything that he needed, and he didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve because he didn't go after it for the right reason. He didn't have purpose behind what he was doing. And as soon as the Wright brothers were successful, this other guy quit, because he was like, well, he wasn't first, so he wasn't interested. And so what people can achieve when they have purpose, I think, and from a leadership perspective, is that's what I take inspiration from. Awesome. And I really like that story, and I like the way. And again, Simon Sinek is another example of leadership. I like the way he tells it. He's a very inspiring person.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that, and agree. He's very inspiring. What's been a challenge, and then on the other hand, a highlight of your personal leadership journey?
That's another good question. A challenge, like I've talked a lot about people, right? And I think that is probably the biggest challenge is people, and it's but the biggest challenge is also the most rewarding when you do get it right. And so if you can inspire people, and if you can motivate them to go and do something, when you see them achieve, that's like super motivating. And it's great. It gives you a huge amount of satisfaction. But that is a challenge. It's not easy, and you don't always get it right. You're going to make mistakes along the way. So I would say that would be my biggest challenge. Humans we're all funny creatures, and we like to think we're perfect, but we're not. So that would I'd say would be how I would describe my biggest challenge.
Yeah, totally. I'm throwing you under the bus a little bit with these side questions, but how do you deal with not getting it right? Like, how have you as a leader gone, okay, I stuffed that up? How do you overcome that practically?
It's a good question. I'll just take the bus hit. It's pretty. you can either fight it or you can just be humble and admit that you got something wrong. And if you can admit that you got something wrong, and then people will go, okay, well, at least you've admitted it, and then you can get on and you can move on. You can move on quickly, and you don't have to dwell on it. One of the things that can also motivate you is your anxieties, and anxiety can often be be associated with negative connotations, but anxiety can also be really powerful, because if you can harness it and then focus your energies to fixing a certain problem or fixing a mistake, it kind of then takes away it can take away that problem, and it can overcome that mistake, and you can learn from it, and then you can make sure that the next time you just improve. So awesome. That's sort of the way that I'd put that.
Yeah, it's a great answer. Like, just being humble and going, cool, didn't get that right, guys. I'm human too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're all human, and okay, we've got to strive to get things right, but at the same time, we're all going to make mistakes at some point. Yeah,
awesome. Very authentic leadership. That's cool. Have you ever had imposter syndrome with your leadership? You said at the start, weren't sure if you're a natural leader.
100%.
Is that something you've had to overcome, imposter syndrome? Because most
overcoming it right now. Like, I'm like, why would you want to interview me? Like, seriously. Awesome. I think everybody does. I think you do. You're constantly doubting yourself, and I think go back to that point that I just made about anxieties. You're always going to have those anxieties. They're just going to be there, and so imposter syndrome is a real thing. I guess depends what you call it, but if you can harness some of that power, and I guess how do you overcome it is to focus on how that can give you energy to make change, or to develop into that person that you don't feel like you are, but you want to be. So that's sort of how I'd look at it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, like, honestly, it blows my mind how many business owners and leaders say that they suffer from it, and I still go like, wait, what? Like,
don't appear to, right?
That doesn't make sense. But just the power that is unlocked when actually we do admit that we all struggle with it from time to time, and it can be something we all need to overcome. I think that's quite powerful. So yeah, thanks for being honest. Would love to hear a bit of your Icehouse journey with the leadership development program and Alex. How did you first hear of the Icehouse?
So the directors and owners of Energylight, they both went on the owner manager program through Icehouse, and they went on that independently, and they came out of that going, okay, this has got great value to add to our business. And so they first proposed it to me and my colleague, who's our junior manager of Energylight. And we both went on the LDP at the same time. So that's how we sort of, I guess, came into the Icehouse family, and that originally came actually through our bank at the BNZ. That was how they originally got introduced to the Icehouse program.
Awesome, that's cool, and quite cool that you guys did it together, so could sort of bounce ideas off each other, I'm sure, and speak the same language.
Yeah, it was. And so since then, we've had a number of different people in our organisation go through it. So from our team leaders to some of our people in our sales team that have shown leadership. We've gone, okay, well, let's try and accelerate that. So there's been a number of different people that have gone, and it really helps with being able to, like you say, speak a common language and be galvanized in where you're going and how you're going to get there. So it's been a great program.
Awesome, that's cool to hear. When you personally got pitched it from the directors of the company, did you have any hesitations about going on a course like that?
Yeah, 100%. I was like,
what were they?
Yeah, what's this about? But they came back so enthusiastic after the owner manager program. I didn't really have choices, and they were so enthusiastic about this. It's got to be good, So I certainly had my anxieties. I had no idea how it was going to run or how it was going to be formatted. And the funny thing is that right from the get-go, like from the first thing that you do, they kind of prepare you and get you, I guess, fizzing straight off the bat. It's pretty awesome. So
cool. Yeah, that's so awesome. Have there been any changes that you've implemented into the business, or maybe even personally, since doing the program?
It's I actually recall that, like, when you finish the program, you've got to write down a number of things that you're going to go and change, and so you write them down, which is interesting because when you write something down like that, you make a bit of a commitment in your brain. And then I did put it in like the proverbial bottom drawer, and then just kind of let it sit there. And about a year later, I was going through that drawer as you do, and I pulled it out, and I was like, oh, I wonder how, wonder what I did, and I actually went through, and I realized that even without getting the list and referring to it every week, I was like, we've managed actually to complete a lot of these things that I set out to do. Awesome. just by doing, and so I think it instills that in you, and I couldn't tell you what those things are now because it's a few years ago since I did the program, but totally. It definitely instills change in you.
And how have you found it from a leader when your staff that you put on the programs come back? How does that benefit the overall business in any way?
100%. Like, they come back empowered, they come back motivated, inspired, and it may be that they're recently we just had one of the guys go on, and he's working really in new business development, like he's developing a new little business unit within the business, and he came back just going, man, like this is I now know what I've got to do, like it's sort of become clear for him, I suppose. And
cool. There's that sense of purpose.
Yeah, and give him a sense of purpose, and he's a natural leader, even though he calls himself a foot soldier, and so, but a guy like that is he calls himself a foot soldier, but he is a leader.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of made him realize where his strengths lie as a leader.
Yeah, that's cool. I love hearing that. And what about Alex? So for context of people, this is like an alumni day or 2 days, come together, different cohort of people, but everyone that's done leadership development before, sort of like a refresher. How did you find that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was a nice refresher. It was the way that I would describe it, and it was good to get that kind of injection again of all of those topics and get some inspiration into your leadership, and so in the way that you look after, again, I'll focus back on people because it's such a big topic of the program, and so it was a valuable couple of days.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like to hear that. And yeah, Energylight really have had so many staff come on the program, so it is quite cool to chat to you from a perspective of you've got a lot of people within the business that are speaking the same language, because right back from when the directors come back and they're fizz, like you said, and they're starting to say all these things, I feel like in a lot of other businesses, we find then the employees and the managers are going, wait, what? I feel I'm not on your level,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's quite cool to be chatting to someone where so many of the staff have come on to the programs and are speaking that same language and seeing it take their business that needs it.
And you can't put everybody on it. It just doesn't make sense, and it wouldn't make sense for the business as well. But if the having people, like I said, we've had some salespeople going out now. They don't have any direct reports, but they are leaders. No matter what they say, they've been with the business for 10 or 11 years.
Awesome.
So they have a leadership part to play in the business, and so by giving them context to that leadership and purpose, then it just strengthens the company.
Yeah, that's really cool. Again, throwing you into this, what's a piece of advice you'd have for a new leader, someone that's just got an opportunity? That means they're either managing a team or managing even one staff member. What's a piece of advice you'd give them?
Oh, gee, that's a good one. What piece of advice would I give someone who's just taking over, taking somebody on or coming into a leadership role? It'd probably be it'd have to depend on the person. It'd have to depend on the way it is that what their strengths are. And so if it's somebody who's the guy that I just described, the person I just described, then it's probably just taking their time, because you can often be in a rush and you want to get things done. So just take your time with the person and listen and understand. And if you're a salesperson, think of that person like they're a customer. You have to, your job is to help them. Your job is to look after them and to make sure that they can get the best out of themselves. And so you might just need to slow down. Other people, it might be that you need to just focus your energies on that person and support them. It really depends on the person, but
it does.
I think helping the people within your team, helping them be the best that they can be, listening to them really, really intently and actively listening, so that you can understand what their frustrations might be and then help them overcome them. Don't do everything for them. So if they come to you with a problem, don't just go, I'll take that and do that for you.
That's a good one.
You can do it sometimes, and sometimes you need to, but a lot of the time it's actually going, okay, well, how could you overcome this? What's the what would you do if I wasn't here? And that's a bit of a coaching mentality, but you've got to pull those things out at the right time for you and for the person. Often as a leader or a manager, you can just get sucked into going, oh look, I can see you're under pressure, so I'll take that off you. It doesn't teach that person anything, and all it does is load you up more.
Great advice. That's cool. And so right, like, it is personal to the person's personality and what their life looks like and what they're passionate about and how they naturally lead, and where their weaknesses are. So awesome. I want to finish with this question. What excites you most about your career journey, but also Energylight's future?
What excites me the most? What actually excites me the most is what comes back to the purpose behind why we exist as a company and why we come to work. We are a professional specification lighting company, and we help design teams with product selections and the way to use products, and very technical products and very technical products that are used in design and engineering and buildings and outdoor spaces and that kind of thing. And so the journey that we're on is to help those people help their clients, or deliver really well lit spaces for their clients. Awesome. Because we know that has a massive impact on human well-being. And so the more that we can do that, the more that we can grow, the more that we can influence people, I know that we get better we get better lighting results as the result. But the actual thing that comes at the end is that the people that then walk into that space walk in and go, wow, this is cool. And they might know it's the lighting the reason it's cool. That's not the point, but the how they interpret that space is cool. So the better we get at our job, and the more that we grow, and the more that our people grow, the more that happens. So that's what inspires me to come to work and to work with my team and to grow our business.
It's such a strong sense of purpose. I really love that. And thanks for highlighting how important lighting is for our well-being. I honestly so agree with that. Though I walk into a space and I'm just like, it's just a nice feel in here, and I think it's got a lot to do with that.
Well, a lot of the way that you interpret a space is through your eyes, and and the only thing that's entering your eyes is light. So when you think of it like that, it's really important. But it's such a small part of a massive cog of constructional design and engineering that it's often not well understood. And so the more that we can help people understand it, the better results people will have. The more experiences like you just described that people have, the better everybody is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, James, for the chat. And I was a bit mean in this episode, to be honest. I kind of threw in quite a few extra questions there, but you handled it well, and you were just honest as well. And so I really appreciate you being a real, authentic leader and sharing your journey and telling us a little bit more about Energylight's purpose as well. I think that's really cool. So I'll make sure I pop that in the copy, and I'm sure everyone listening has enjoyed it. But thanks heaps for your time.
Cool. No worries. Thanks, Bryar. And yeah, glad to be a part of it.